All right. YouTube acting up today. Doesn't want to work right. So we'll see how long this takes. Give it a second to warm up. I brought you to America's first stop and adventure, the Great Maverick. Although you can't see it behind the sign because it's behind the tree there. But Adventure's first stop, Maverick. It's a place to go. Um, so just a real quick one to throw out some stuff you may or may not be tracking. Depending on which distracting you're distracted by. But see if anybody pops in here. We're enjoying cooler temperatures for this time of year. A little breezy out there, but manageable. So to get a little cooler though next couple days. To remind us, we're not out of the woods yet on the planting process, so holding back on some of the planting till this weekend and see how it goes. But we're getting the layout done, so we got that to look forward to. But just a couple quick things. The GDP growth numbers came out today. And I think the term they go by is abysmal. Slower than projected, less than projected, something like that. GDP growth was like 1 point something percent, which is basically nothing compared to the inflationary rate, which we know was the official number. Of course, these are the official numbers. We know how those go. You know, the inflation is way higher than the GDP. So the economy is contracting, which the central bank hates. Interestingly, the markets kind of did a little bit of pullback today, but long term, it's good for them because they know the Fed is going to give them an easy out for free money, easy money. So expect your stock market stuff to go up. If you're looking to buy, it's probably going to go up or whatever. It is what it is. So be on the lookout for that and seeing how, because the Fed definitely wants to get its free money train going again. It wants to pull away from these interest rate hikes. That kind of gives them that excuse, even though it's just going to lead to even greater inflation, which is the whole reason they raised interest rates to begin with, but they don't like that environment. Now, so we're in that period of where they thread the needle, right? We talked about this. Do they let the economy run hot, or do they crush the banks with higher interest rates? It's kind of in that gray zone, like, you know, they can't hike, they can't leave the rates higher much longer. What are they going to do? They just keep bailing the banks out and let interest rates run with the inflation. It's I guess there's options, but none of them are good. So that happened today. And I guess just monitor to see how it affects you, commodity wise in particular. Housing sales were down to one of the lowest numbers as well. I think I saw that yesterday. So what was that? Like all the top 10 cities with the reduced home sales. Vegas is one of the top. Oh, it was reduced housing prices. That's what it was, not sales, but prices. So which indicates sales are down because people aren't selling. How prices are going to go down so they can sell, right? So you got to meet that supply and demand function in the housing market in particular. And interest rates play a role in that. But more importantly, to the point, it might have slid under your radar. It might be on your radar today or late last night, whichever. The USDA put out some rules for the transport and testing of dairy cattle for the H5N1 avian flu thing they're getting everybody all riled up about. And in particular, of note in that declaration, that statement that they put out to dairy cattlemen and those involved in the industry, is you have to be able to provide the location data for your cows back in time if they have a positive test. You can't transport dairy cattle across state lines without a test. I'm not sure how often dairy cattle go across state lines, but don't think it's very often, except for breeding. But maybe not. Liberty Garden's a cattle guy. He'll let us know. Seller's a cattle guy. Hopefully they may know something about this. But in particular, the tracking of your cattle's location ties in what they've been leading up to about the last year with this RFID chipping of cattle. This has been a long wanted goal of them to be able to mandate chipping of cattle. For one, it crushes the little guy. Little farms can't compete in that environment because it's a huge additional cost to chip and track cattle. Imagine scanning all your cattle and all this other stuff, right? The software, the system that goes behind it. Only a large producer can manage that type of herd, right? So if they mandate it for even just the operation of your cattle, that's something that seems to be, they're on the cusp of really getting what they want here. So just putting that out there, everybody, to check out. Don't know how this is going to affect. There've been stories about they found the dead virus inside of milk, and they're really ramping up this avian flu fear for whatever reason, whatever agenda. There was an article posted. It's on links on the Drudge about how everybody's concerned. This looks a lot like the COVID. The Rona is exactly the same thing. When the Wuhan came out, there was no coordination and no messaging, and this is the exact same thing. And people were, we're all gonna die. So be on the lookout for that nonsense. Hopefully it doesn't affect your cattle prices or your milk or whatever, but they're trying to make it so. But if you're either in a dairy state or in a non-dairy state, getting that product across state lines seems like it's going to be exponentially harder for the next period of time until this kind of blows over or whatever. I think in one of the Texas cases of the herd that was infected, like the cattle aren't really affected. Most of them don't show signs or symptoms. It's only a couple. So they're using that as an example of, see, it can be transmitted without detection, yada, yada. It's almost like the same verbiage, except in cows that you've heard before. Hey, what's up, Nickel? Yeah, they do think we are the cattle. Exactly. We are, it all ties together, right? But just thought I'd throw it out there with during the lunchtime. And the GDP is down, the inflation is up. The Fed has the perfect excuse to lower rates or to inject more free money into the system to benefit their banker buddies. And let's don't forget, fund more war, which is what really keeps them afloat. Wild times we're living. So I think we'll cut it here. We're at 10 minutes. I just wanted to throw it out there about the cattle in particular, the tracking of them, the tracing of them. They're really trying to get that put in place for control, for no other reason. So y'all have a good Thursday. Be ready for the weekend. Prep hard, live free. Hey Tracy, what's up? Just saw you pop in there. Where'd you go? Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah. Man, I didn't even mention that. The 44% capital gain that they proposed, or they signed a rule, I guess. They just made a rule. It doesn't have to go through law to increase your taxes anymore. They just make a rule and it happens, right? Yeah. Capital gains now set. which gives people, it's weird how that's going to affect stock markets and stuff, because that gives people a reason to get out of stocks and certain capital gains now instead of waiting until it takes place. Who knows how that's going to affect things as far as investments and stuff. But if you wanted to hide your money, I'm sure there's a commodity out there that you could buy and store away for future use that doesn't tarnish and doesn't go bad and doesn't degrade, and you can bring it out later to exchange for goods and services. I don't know what that one might be. All right, y'all be good. Prep hard. Live free.